Green Cooling scores with the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show.
Hello, midweekers. Yes, we've reached that time again. It's Wednesday evening or Thursday morning or Friday afternoon, whenever you're listening to us. This is, of course, the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League Show with myself, Dave Parkinson, and the man who pushes the buttons and makes it all hang together, Mr. Steve Beech. How are you doing, Steve?
Yeah, many a times people have said to me, you just push my buttons, you do. And I'm sure that's something totally different to what I'm doing at the moment. But yeah, I'm doing fine, thanks, Parker. After a great weekend.
Yeah, I've got to say, I think summer's finally here.
Yeah, it was funny, but where was it today? I was in Stockton Heath. I was called in the, I was at a little cafe called L24.
I hope they paid you for this sponsorship.
I was on a little bite to eat. In fact, it's Paul Vaughan from Warrington. He's a regular customer there. But I digress. But while I was in there, I was having a little bite to eat with me, a good lady. And somebody, I think it was the lady behind the counter, was talking to one of the customers and said, yeah, it's summer's here. Yep, that's it. Won't be here tomorrow. It will be gone. And you know what? I thought, well, let's take full advantage of it. So, obviously, we're in my backyard again, as they say.
Yeah. Well, it's cracking being here, as per usual. And we've got a good show ahead of us. So, as Steve alluded to, we were on the road again at the weekend, weren't we? We were over at Crosfields for their game against Oulton, a big Division 1 crackerjack of a match from the National Conference League. So we've got audio highlights of that. And I spoke with, in his words, not mine, veteran centre, Adrian Holdsworth. So it'll be great to feature him on the show. We've also got our usual roundup of results from elsewhere and honourable mentions for the likes of the Cumbria Crack and a couple of other things as well, Steve.
Yeah, and obviously we've got to mention we'll have, or we do know now, we were in the Barla finals.
We do, yeah, and what a turn up for the Bucks that was.
Yeah. I was. It was another one of those. Do you know what? I seem to say this every week about looking at the results on a Saturday after the game. Just you get back in and you're looking through, and I had to look at that one, and I messaged you straight away to sort of say, "Whoa, have a look at this." It was a surprise, or shouldn't have really been a surprise, and it sort of was interesting as well because the team that won, were in the same sort of predicament as some of the other clubs that should have been playing in the semi-finals.
But we had that conversation last week, didn't we, about that? And yes. Well, let us start there then. So, who made it through in the Barla Cup semi-finals, Steve?
Well, it was, as we said, the two semi-finals should have been Orrell against Rochdale Mayfield. Rochdale Mayfield forfeited, so Orrell goes straight through. And in the other semi-final, it was Tatooine against Hurst Finch.
Now, to be honest with you, Hurst Finch flying top of the Premier Division.
Yeah.
And Thato Division 1, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
So you would have fancied, even with Hurst Finch travelling away from home, you would have fancied them to get away with the result.
Yeah. I would have thought so. I mean, I'm sure a lot of other people who've watched Hurst Finch over the, certainly this season and sort of the other couple of seasons that have, in the past, would have thought that they're probably at probably the peak from a good while, but Tatooine turned them over, and sets up a cracking final there now.
And what a great result it was as well. I think it was 32-14 in the end, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
What a brilliant performance that was from Thato, and as you say, it sets up a St Helens. Well, it was always going to be a St Helens and Wigan derby in the in the final anyway, wasn't it? But it sets up something of an intriguing fixture up against Orrell St James, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And probably breaks what some people might term as tedium, because as you mentioned in our commentary, which we were doing on the weekend, had the result gone the way that we expected, that could have made it 5 times that those sides have played against each other this season.
Yeah. So obviously, we was having that conversation with some of the spectators over there at Crosfields, and I think it would be like a state of origin, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Best of 5.
The only other season I can think of similar to that was 2003, semi-professional rugby league. Salford had been relegated from the Super League. Lee were flying high at the top end of the first division, as was, and they played each other 7 times over the course of the season.
Wow.
Yeah, because you played each other in like the Northern Rail Cup.
Yeah.
And you were drawn in the group stages.
Yeah.
So like Lee and Salford were in the same group. Ended up going through, obviously. Then they played each other in the final of that competition, so that's 2. Then they played each other twice in the league. Then they drew each other in the Challenge Cup, and then they played each other at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So they played a qualifying match, which Salford won to get into the final, and then Lee won their match to play them in the grand final.
Yeah.
So 7 times over the course
Absolutely
of the season,
crazy.
Yeah. So they would, certainly you'd know a lot about your opposition, wouldn't you, if you're going to play against them so many times in a year?
Yeah, very much so. But it was like I say, it shouldn't have really surprised me, because Tatooine obviously are, no matter what age group, sort of group they put out, whether it be NCL, whether it be the Northwest men's teams, they're always competitive.
Yes.
So it should have been no surprise in that, and I'm sure they would have set things up. I don't know, maybe I've done watched. Unless, obviously, Pez Kenyon had been round with his dog around Hurstfinch, because I'd seen him round there so many times, he might have been able to give Tatooine a few tips. But obviously they're through there now, and it sets up a good game there at Featherstone.
So well done to Thato for getting through in that one. Big performance, saw them see off the local rivals Hurstfinch that they don't get to play as often as you might expect.
No, true. That's what makes it a little bit more intriguing, a little bit more exciting, I think.
Where shall we go next? You know what? I think we'll head up to Cumbria. So this report is courtesy of the Cumbria Crack newspaper online. And Cockermouth Titans, they became the first team to beat Wathbrow A in the Holmen Iggesund Cumberland League. The Titans beat a young Wathbrow side 22 points to 18 after the two sides had been locked together at 10-all when they took their half-time break. The Cockermouth tries came courtesy of a guy that we've mentioned a lot on the show over the last few weeks, Regan Tinian. He grabbed 2. Fraser Murray and player coach Liam McAvoy also went in for a try, and he was named the man of the match. Tinian also marked a busy game by kicking 3 goals. For Wathbrow, there were tries from Leighton Dockery, he grabbed 2, Luke Davison and Evan Alec, while Matt Sibbald, unfortunately for him, he had a little bit of an off day with the boot. He was only able to kick 1 conversion. Brad White was named as the man of the match. Now, Coach McAvoy said of his side's performance, "I was really pleased with the way we kept going and dug in. We've had a couple of big wins, but this time we had to stick at it. And apart from a couple of lapses, I thought we defended really well. Both sides were missing players, but the young ones who came in for Wathbrow were all good, which is a credit to their club. The game had gone to and fro, with each of us leading, and it was great from our point of view that we kept going to score a late winner." Wathbrow coach Paul Farrell said, "We were down to the last 15 players at the club who were available, and that included 6 of our under-18s and myself at 43 years of age. I played for about an hour and I'm suffering. Under the circumstances, I was gutted, but that we didn't get the 2 points because everyone was outstanding in adversity, particularly the under-18s who had played on Wednesday night. 2 of them scored tries. The game fluctuated one way and the other, and we were ahead 6 minutes from time. Then a little lapse of concentration put them in for what was the winning try." So Kells A, they've been on a losing run, but they ended that with an excellent 24-0 against Lauker after they had established a 10-0 lead at the break. Man of the match was Ashton Syce. He grabbed 3 tries, and there were other scores from Tyrone Dalton and Dylan Hurton. Kieran Halcrow landing 2 goals. The man of the match for Lauker was another man that we've mentioned quite often on the show, Zendon Callender. Kells coach John Wignall said, "After 2 defeats on the spin, we put in a very good defensive performance to nil a dangerous Lauker side. The game was very much an arm wrestle, with a lot of set-for-set plays between 2 good sides of forwards. Ashton Syce was outstanding and deserved his hat-trick, but that said, it was off the back of the platform laid by the forwards, who all played well. There are still things to work on, but we were happy to get the win against a team that will be up at the top of the end of the table come the end of the season. it was also tight between Ellenborough A and Askham, with the West Cumbrians emerging 16-14 winners in the end. It was 3 tries apiece, and the difference was 2 conversions from Josh Patterson against 1 from Lewis Stables. The Ellenborough tries came courtesy of Liam Ackley, Tyler Edger and Cian Dempsey, with Askham countering through Joey Blowers, Jude McNamara and Luke McIntee. Askham coach Chris Broadley, he said it was a very even game between 2 well-matched sides, and it was one of those which could have gone either way. There were some awful conditions at times, but overall I'm disappointed we didn't get anything from the game. Dissington A powered away in the second half to beat Flamby 36-6 after they had led just 12-0 at the break. In the end, there were tries for man of the match Bailey Worthington, who grabbed 2. Ethan Black also scored a brace. Kelton Lynch, Kelvin Lynch and Jaden Hewer were the other try scorers, with Hewer also adding 4 goals in a busy game. Sam Fearon scored the Flimby try, which was converted by Reece Booty, and Kieran Johnston was the man of the match. Ricky Morrison, Flimby loose forward and driving force behind the club being revived this season, he said it was a close first half yet again, but some poor defence and decisions cost us. Dissington kept the pressure on and got the result in the end. Cody Petrie gave a solid account of himself, and our old head Gary Steele kept our middle solid. Unfortunately, in the other game that was due to take place, Hensingham A, they were unable to raise a team to play against Maryport.
Some good games there, and you know what surprises me is how this league, you know, there are A teams. They don't have put out some good. You know, some good players. Obviously, the names are being mentioned every week. Regular scorers, regular kickers. You know.
Yeah. So yeah. And there's some really good points tallies which are being brought up, isn't there, from a lot of those players. Some fascinating, you know, results. And well, what does that mean to the league? Maryport out on top despite not playing. Cockermouth Titans moving above Wathbrow Hornets A into second spot. Wathbrow are now in third, Kells A in fourth, Lauca in fifth, Hensingham A sixth, Askham seventh, Dissington A eighth, Egremont Rangers A and ninth, Aspatria Hornets 10th, Ellenborough A in 11th, and Flimby are 12th in the division. So that's your current standings in the Holmen Iggesund Cumberland League.
I love that league. I love just the name alone. I know you've struggled over it.
I've struggled over it. You mean I've eventually got it right?
No, I never say it. I never say it, so I can't struggle over it.
Right, okay. You just said, yeah, it's happening. It's all happening in Cumbria. It's all happening in Cumbria.
Oh, by the way, that's not the police turning up for parking, by the way.
No, you're okay. I passed my DBS, I'm all right.
I'll tell you what, he'll never sell any ice cream going that fast.
You've been listening to my granddad's jokes, haven't you? That was one of his favourites, to be honest. Right, where shall we go next? Shall we go Yorkshire? Shall we go North West Men's?
Let's go North West Men's.
Okay. You've got to be awkward. I've not clicked on that one. There we go. Right, so your results this past weekend. And we're going to start in... let's start with the Premier Division. So, Ashton Burrs 34, Heysham Atoms 4, and then Folly Lane 26, Halton Farmworth Hornets 18. That was a turn up for the Bucks, wasn't it? That one, a great
good
result
win, that
Folly Lane.
Yeah.
And then a close run thing over at Latchford Albion. Latchford Albion 12, Blackbrook 20, Steve.
Yeah, this is one that I think we spoke about last week when we were going through that. Could be something of a close match, and certainly it wasn't too bad in that respect. But Latchford Albion fell to a 20 points to 12 home defeat in a game against Blackbrook, where Martin Ellis's young side were competitive throughout. Albion were never in front in the North West Men's League Premier Division clash and trailed 18-0 early in the second half, but never gave up and fired back with 2 tries. Ellis said, effort-wise we were really good, especially when we fell behind. We got ourselves back in the game, and maybe if we had another 5 minutes we could have gone on to get something from the game. Our try scorers were 18 and 17 years old, and both have played less than 10 open age games of rugby, so it shows the quality we have coming through this system. Just need that little bit extra to get you the win, but a time and experience, that will come. When Latchford failed to deal with the high kick, the visitors took full advantage to open the scoring with a converted try. And on the half-hour mark, the lead was extended. The back-to-back penalties gave Brook good field position, and they found space to cross again in the corner. When the St Helens outfit crossed for their third try after the break, the game could have easily have run away from the hosts, but they showed great spirit to launch a comeback. Josh Bernard crossed with a 30-metre solo effort, leaving 3 defenders in his wake, and Sam Dobson converted. 10 minutes later, the deficit was reduced to a single score when hooker Lewis Johnson showed great strength to ground the ball despite the attention of 3 defenders, Dobson again converting. With 15 minutes remaining, Albion continued to try and get a score that could possibly level up the game, but despite some good pressure, the visitors' line held firm. A penalty on the hooter ensured the visitors took the spoils as they climbed to third place, while Albion remained bottom. And I'm saying it's a shame. I mean, we've seen them play. They played some good rugby, but just a little been lacking from time to time, which Martin, sort of acknowledges is that is, he's getting some of the youngsters are being blooded, and it can only stand them in good stead.
Yeah, I think longer term it certainly will do, and I do expect them to sort of hit back over the next couple of years, particularly if they can keep the crux of the team together. I think over recent times they have lost some of the bigger players that have been playing for them to reserve rugby league, and it was always one of those things that could potentially happen. Therefore weakening, you can say, temporarily some of the sides. I mean, don't get me wrong, like you said, you can look at it on the other side of the coin and say, well, there is young players that are available and are making their mark, and long may that continue.
And that's the way it needs to be managed with every club, isn't it?
It does.
You look at what you've got and can you get them in to get ready for playing maybe longer periods next season, and then obviously the season after that, hopefully they're fully fledged and
they become regulars then, won't they? Then you can
exactly.
start to build your team around those.
And then obviously then the cycle begins where they've moved on from the team that they were in. Then the youngsters that are moving up into those sort of 16s, 18s, sort of divisions will do the same in the following years after that.
2 results from Division 1, by the way, ESD. Wigan St Cuthbert's 14, Salford City Roosters 22, and Hindley 30, Dalton 30.
Wow. Money's worth out of that one again, Parky.
That's an absolute corker of a game. I like my high scores. A lot of coaching staff would go, what's the other about here, Dave? Stop it. Shut up, Dave.
Yeah, defence coaches will be shouting at the radio as we speak.
Hinepool Tigers, they had a success in Division 2, defeating Wigan Springview by 44 points to 10. And in Division 3 there was no action at the weekend, and meanwhile Division 4, that just saw the one game, Langworthy Reds defeating Chester Gladiators 54 points to 18. That's a great result for Langworthy, that.
It is, I mean, taking a bit of a bumping over the last couple of weeks of Chester Gladiators with regards to scores, but I mean, as we say, year in and year out, they're thereabouts in always competing, aren't they? You know what I mean? It's so easy to, have unsuccessful seasons, and then if you've not got that, as we've seen with Liverpool Lizards, if you've not got that core of people who can fill in, if you do start losing people, then it's very, very difficult, and we've seen that, quite a few clubs that have folded because they've not had, there's just not enough players. But Chester Gladiators are one of those who have managed to stick around. And great to see Liverpool Lizards, as we were saying in the past, go from strength to strength by owning how they are as a team and saying, look, this where you've put us initially, probably a little bit too hard. We'll drop down, and I think they're reaping the benefits in that sort of way at the moment.
It allows them to build, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so they gauge that kind of where they were up to, and now have found a more suitable level. Right, fixtures for this coming weekend. The Premier Division, all the action gets underway on Friday evening. I'm thinking of zipping along to this one, to be honest. Ashton Bears, they're at home to Latchford Albion.
No, I'm not doing the ice cream joke again.
Then on Saturday, Heysham Atoms, they're at home to Blackbrook. Holton Farmouth Hornets against Shevington Sharks. I'm also looking at this. So next Friday evening, the 28th of June, Shevington are at home to Latchford. So we've got another Friday night encounter there. That's potentially one for the cards.
I like Shevington's a nice little ground, I must admit.
Right, in Division 1, these are your fixtures. So Ulverston at home to Burton Wood Bridge. These taking place on Saturday, by the way. Wigan St Cuthbert's at home to Thatto Heath Crusaders A. Goulburn Parkside travel over to Salford City Roosters. West Orton Lions are up at Dalton. Chorley Panthers, they're at home against Hindley. And then Division 2. We've got Lee Miners Rangers at home against Waterhead Warriors A. Newton Storm, they're hosting Highpool Tigers.
That'll be a tough one, that, I must admit, because Newton Storm have not played for a few weeks as well. The Highpool Tigers certainly were, I think the top of the division, or thereabouts at the moment.
And there is a few gaps in the calendars now, isn't there, with various things that are happening. In Division 3, just 2 fixtures here as well. So Clockface Miners A travel over to Bank-Key Bulls. Runcorn at home against Wigan St Jude's Northwest men's side.
2 good games there, I must admit.
And then Division 4, we've got a full round of fixtures here virtually. So Chester Gladiators at home to Haydock. You've got Colchester Eagles hosting Langworthy Reds. Oral St James A travel over to Liverpool Lizards. Meanwhile, Portico Vine, they're making a short trip over to West Orton Lions A. So they should be cracking games. And again, sort of looking on the horizon for the week after, Haydock at home to West Orton Lions. So that should be a good game, shouldn't it? I know I'm sort of jumping ahead there a little bit, but I like it when I see fixture lists. I'm thinking,
that happens, doesn't it, when you're flicking through? Some just suddenly catch your eye.
Let's have a look, see whether there's any fixtures in the entry division. Chorley Panthers A are hosting Hindley A. Woolston Rovers A are up against Leyland Warriors as well. And if you're of a Hurst Finch persuasion, then on the 29th of June you'll be able to see them up against Garswood Stags Reserves.
Yeah, I believe Hurst Finch A are turning out a pretty good side at the moment.
It's always nice to see, isn't it? Over on the other side of the Pennines, crossing over to Yorkshire from Premier Division, it was Newson Panthers 4, Stanley Rangers 20. Good win that for Stanley.
Yeah.
Fryston Warriors 62, Keighley Albion 20. Doncaster Tollbar 24, Westcote Common 0. Almondry Spartans 14, King Cross Park 18. That sounds like it were a classic encounter, that does. And then your results from Division 1. And that saw Siddle Academy 38, Ossett Trinity Tigers 6, Hunslet ARLFC 14, Bradford Dudley Hill 14, and then a game that took place last Friday evening saw Murfield lose at home against Charleston Rovers 38 points to 18. Division 2. And we had a couple of results from this division as well. So Seacroft Sharks 6, Mould Green 20, Castleford Panthers 58, Birkenshaw Blue Dogs 10, Brighouse Rangers 24, Emley Moor Cougars 0. And then your action from Division 3. Well, that pitted New Ayswick All Blacks up against York Acorn in a bit of a derby grudge match, and it was 14-10 to New Ayswick All Blacks. Elland and Greetland, they defeated Wyke by 28 points to 8. Dodworth Miners had a 24-0 up against Birstall Victoria. And Bramley Buffaloes, they were ultra impressive at home to Upton, defeating them by 38 points to 0. And into Division 4. York Barbarians 58, Sherburn Burrs 12, West Craven Warriors 30, Underbank Rangers 12, and this was a really close encounter. Oulton Raiders 16, Goole Vikings 4, and then Dewsbury Moor 24, Newson Panthers A 0. And again, looking further down the divisions, Division 5. That saw Linley St Joseph 16, Garforth Tigers 4. Farnley Falcons 16, Derby Elks 32. Good win that. There was defeat for the Scarborough Pirates away at Dearne Valley Bulldogs. Meanwhile, Batley and Craigleston All Blacks fought out a 10-all draw. Bet that was a thriller.
10-all.
And then Division 6. That saw Charleston Rovers Academy account for the Rycroft Hammers by 56 points to 6. King Cross Park Academy downed Guiseley Rangers 36-14. Hemsworth Dragons went down to Keighley Albion Academy by 24 points to 18. And the Moortown Mambas, they had a win on the road with a 24-0 over Birkenshaw Blue Dogs. So let's have a look at how the fixtures line up for this week, shall we? So the Premier Division fixtures, that sees Stanley Rangers host King Cross Park. Westcott Common are up against Keighley Albion. So that should be a couple of good games there. Division 1 encounters, well, that pits Siddle Academy up against Charleston Rovers on Friday evening. And then on Saturday you've got Bradford Dudley Hill hosting Cutsyke Raiders. Murfield are on the road at Hunslet. You've got Wibsey Warriors over at Ossett Trinity Tigers. So some cracking games there as well. Division 2 action. That sees Birkenshaw Blue Dogs host Illingworth. Queensbury are over at Brighouse Rangers. Mould Green are up against the Emily Moor Cougars. Castleford Panthers, they're away at Seacroft Sharks. And then Division 3. That sees Birstall Victoria host Wyke. Eleanor Greetland are at home again, this time against Upton. New Ayswick All Blacks, they take on Bramley Buffaloes. Meanwhile, York Acorn, they're at home to Dodworth Miners. And Division 4. That's the Sherburn Bears up against Dewsbury Moor. Underbank Rangers are hosting Oulton Raiders. You've got York Barbarians at home against the West Craven Warriors. And then Division 5 fixtures for the week. That sees Batley host Dearne Valley Bulldogs. Craigleston All Blacks are over at Farnley Falcons. The Derby Elks are over at Linley St Joseph's. Meanwhile, Garforth Tigers are away at Scarborough Pirates. And then, well, I didn't bring you any results from the NCL Alliance, but just a couple of fixtures to tell you about this weekend. So Shawcross Sharks host Heworth on Friday evening. Stanningley host Eastmoor Dragons on Saturday. Normanton Knights host West Bowling Academy there. And if I carry on reading out the fixtures, we have the Hull Division. And the games set to take place are Cottingham Tigers up against the Scunthorpe Steel Sharks. Skirler hosting Myton Warriors. West Hull up against East Hull. Tell you what, some good
Battle
ones
of the Hull, yeah.
And then if I look back over the results from last weekend, Cottingham Tigers 6, this is from the Hull Division of course. Cottingham Tigers 6, East Hull 84. Wow, and that was the only result from the Hull Division last week. If I look at the National Conference League Alliance Division, that saw West Bowling Academy account for Heworth by 22 points to 10. Eastmoor Dragons had a 24-0 against Milford. Normanton Knights had a 24-0 against Bentley. And then last Friday night, Stanningley hosted Shawcross Sharks and beat them by 48 points to 14. So high scoring win there. And that is your action from the Yorkshire men's.
I think you may have stepped over Division 6.
What for Dom? Give us it anyway.
We've got Guiseley Rangers.
Yeah.
They will be taking on Moortown.
Oh, these are the fixtures, aren't they?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Rycroft Hammers, they will be welcoming Keighley Albion Academy. Charleston Rovers Academy, they were travelling to King's Cross Park Academy. So yeah, that's those three. Moortown Mambas. I always think it's a band.
It does sound like it could be a band, doesn't it?
Moortown.
Right, elsewhere, the Barrow Division, that saw Millham 24, Barrow Island 0, Dalton 42, Hindpool and Roos Pioneers 34. And let's have a look elsewhere. So yes, with the fixtures in Cumbria this coming weekend, in the Furpris Printers Cumberland Cup, Dissington A host Wathborough Hornets A, Maryport are set to take on Hensingham A, Kells A at home to Cockermouth Titans, Lauca at home to Espatria Hornets. And looking at the regional divisions, the London Premier Division, that saw Brighton Hove Albion. Don't think they've switched, haven't they? Well, Brighton and Hove, they 14, London Chargers 8. Elmbridge Eagles 30, West Warriors A 16, Medway Dragons 10, Brixton Bulls 28. In the East of England Premier Division, St Albans Centurions 0, Anglian Vipers 24, Bedford Tigers A 36, Hemel Stags 38. And in the Midlands Premier Division, Swindon St George 12, Telford Raiders 66. Oxford Cavaliers 38, Leamington Royals 20. And in the Merit Division, Worcestershire Ravens 44, Staffordshire Quantums 36. Up in Scotland, it was Forth Valley Vikings 20, Edinburgh Eagles 24. And then your action in Wales, that saw the Cynon Valley Cavaliers 38, Aberavon Fighting Irish 22, South Wales Jets 64, Torvin Tigers 12, and South Wales Saints 14, Bridgend Blue Bulls 68. Your fixtures this coming weekend in the London Premier Division, Brixton set to take on Brighton and Hove, London Chargers A hosting Elmbridge Eagles, West Warriors A up against Medway Dragons. The East of England Premier Division, that pits Hemel Stags up against St Albans Centurions, Anglian Vipers set to host Canvey Knights. And in the Midlands Premier Division, Leamington Royals are at home to Birmingham Bulldogs, Coventry Bears travel over to Nottingham Outlaws, Oxford Cavaliers host Telford Raiders. And in the Merit Division, well, these sides are set to tussle this weekend. Nottingham Outlaws A up against the North East Worcestershire Ravens. Sherwood Wolfhunt A, they're hosting the Staffordshire Quantums. And in Scotland, we've got the small matter of Glasgow against Edinburgh. As Glasgow hosts the Eagles there. And in Wales, Aberavon Fighting Irish, let me put my teeth in. They're hosting the Rhondda Outlaws. Torvin Tigers are hosting Bridgend Blue Bulls. South Wales Saints are over at Cynon Valley Cavaliers, and the South Wales Jets are over at Swansea Rams. In the Southern Conference, some big results here in this division as well. Bristol Allgolds 14, London Chargers 22, Hammersmith Hills Hoist 76, London Scholars 0, Bedford Tigers 12, Wests Warriors 90, and North Hearts Crusaders 18, Eastern Rhinos 26. This coming weekend, West Warriors are at home against Brentwood Eels, London Scholars are set to host Bristol Allgolds, North Hearts Crusaders are over at London Chargers, and Bedford Tigers, they travel over to face the Eastern Rhinos. So some excellent competition there. And I want to switch our attentions now to the National Conference League.
Yeah.
And there was a game that we were at the weekend, wasn't there?
There certainly was, mate. It was, obviously we were looking at what we could cover, and similar as we said, we hadn't covered Oulton Raiders before. We hadn't seen them. We've been down to Crossfield, a cracking little venue, and it seemed the correct thing to do to get down there and have a look at both those teams.
And what a cracking game we saw as well. So this was Crossfields up against Oulton. Before a ball was kicked on Saturday, it was 4th against 6th, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oulton Raiders had won their way through to the Division 1 Grand Final last year. The form has been a little bit up and down. When I was doing my stats ahead of the game, well, I thought we'd be in for a close run thing, to be honest, because when I looked at some of the crucial factors, you got Crossfields, who had won 6 of their previous 11 games. You got Oulton, who'd won 5 of theirs. Both of the sides had a draw last time out against each other, 18 points each. Right, yeah. It was a close run thing. Let's say the best of the action. We're here today at Crossfields for their game against Oulton Raiders. A fascinating encounter awaits us, I feel, because the last time these two sides met, back in April, was 18-all. The kick comes in off the right boot of Stanway. It's hanging. invitingly in the air. Tom Stevens collected it. Tom Stevens starts the counter-attack for Oulton, and they're just over the 10-metre line. This could be the opening score. Oh, it's been intercepted. Intercepted there by Luke Walker, but he couldn't quite take it in. Well, either way, it was going to be a try. If someone had took a pass, they would have got in, wouldn't they?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the pace there was absolutely blistering. And it was obviously just the finishing there at the end. But yeah, it just shows that just got to be on the toes. Is it Kendall and Stevens?
I think he might have been down that side. Now it's out wide with Holdsworth. Holdsworth holding off the defence. Surging over, and Adrian Holdsworth, the top scorer in the National Conference League First Division, comes up with his first try of the game.
Yeah, just after 3 minutes there.
He launches it to Walpole, then it's out with Hagan, and all the way across to the winger. On the winger, Stevens is taken down by Holiday. Oh, it was a cracking tackle, a cruncher, and look how much it means to Stanway. There's back slaps all round from him.
Interesting to see what happens here. 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Stableford has been sin-binned.
Yeah.
So Matty Stableford is off for the next 10.
That could be quite telling, actually.
That comes after how long, Steve?
It comes after 30-minute mark, Parker.
Oh.
Yes, well, possibly not seeing back this half.
And the referee's whistle brings an end to first half proceedings here. So we go to the break, 6 points to 0. Just the one converted try to talk about. 6 points to 0. But again, there's very little between these two sides. Stableford, big carry. He's off down the range.
Yes.
20 metres he's gained, and the penalty will come because they did go high on him initially.
They did, yeah.
Referee was giving a good advantage there. He was seeing what would come off the back of it. Holdsworth has a penalty. Offside is the call.
Struggling this half, Crosfield can't get out of their own half. And Oulton just putting a stranglehold on things.
Watson moves it to his right hand side. Blagg has got it down.
Oh, yes.
He has got it down. And I think it's Ambler rather than Blagg. Ambler has twisted his way through. So he came onto that like a train, did Ambler. Managed to force the ball down. It's a crucial score, and it makes it 12 points to 0 in favour of Oulton. So Mr. Breeny finding the penalty. They're going to kick a goal.
Yeah, can understand that in this rain. It obviously gives them 2-score advantage.
I definitely can't blame Walpole for this.
No, so just lining things up. So this could extend the lead for Oulton to 8 points. It's just slightly to the right hand side of the post. It's just weighing things up, cleaning, making sure the boots are clean. So Walpole just weighing things up, tracking the ball through. Here it comes. And it's a good one. So that takes the visitors out to 8 points to 0. And Crosfields have got to get into this game because they've just got this, as you were saying there before, Parky, Oulton just seemed to have that enthusiasm straight from coming out from that second half. And they put a stranglehold on Crosfield. But what can Crosfields do? Can they get back into this? At least get on the scoreboard because they won't want that 0 by the name.
Williams communicating with Stanway. He gets all of the ball now to Stanway. Takes them on from close range as well. Just 2 metres out he's held. Can they find a way through? The answer is yes, they can.
Nice
spinning run there.
Really good.
And Sam Hickey touches down under the post. He came at that with a little bit of depth, didn't he?
And that's exactly what they needed.
And Stanway, he'll take over. Little chip over the top, looking for Walker. It bounces up for him. He's managed to get a brilliant ball away. It's on this right-hand side. They're going in. A good score there from Tom Ashurst. Quick as you like. I don't know how that ball was released, actually, from Walker. 12 metres to go for Crosfields. Stanway runs across field. Oh, then releases a brilliant pass. They're going to go in, are they? No, valiant defence.
Good tackling, good defence.
That's brilliant from Blagg, that. What a tackle. Ball comes back to Stanway. They're taking it deep. Here's Steele and Walker. Delicate chip. And they're looking for the run.
Oh, he's in the corner.
Ashurst, he's picked it up. He's scored.
He certainly has.
What a beautiful kick that was from Walker. And they know that they've got to go for goal. Walker said, here, give it me, I'll have a shot.
Have we got game on here, Parky? Have we ever? Walker coming in. Left-footed, which is right for this, correct for this side. always can't get it to swing in, unfortunately. But what have we got? 20 points to 14. We've got 2 minutes left. This is going to be interesting.
But there's a penalty here for Oulton. All they've got to do is just line it up and kick it over the post.
I think that's exactly what they'll do.
And they go away with the win.
Yeah.
So yes, they've pointed towards the sticks. Walpole, who has added 4 goals already in this game, will look for goal number 5 just to secure it. While we've got this stoppage, Steve, who are you thinking for your player of the match? Who's impressed you this afternoon?
Impressing me on the Crosfields side is Halliday, even though he's made a couple of mistakes. The full-back Walker has been really, really good. In the front, Millington has been absolutely really spot on. For Oulton Raiders, like you say, we got Holdsworth who scored the try earlier on. Egan at full-back in the first half really, really did impress me. But that rain part of the second half, for me, there was only one man who's making the yards and laying the platform, and that's Stableford at prop forward. He's had a really good game.
Can Walpole secure these points for Oulton? Yes, he can. The flags are raised. It's 22 points to 14. The referee's whistle sounds, and that is the final score. Great win for Oulton Raiders in the end.
Green cooling keeps the 13 Pro-Am Community Rugby League show cool, even when tackles get heated.
Got to say as well that there was some real mixed conditions there, wasn't there? So we started off and it was actually looking quite bright, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Even though I'd warned you, because I'd come from Innsbruck Bridge in the morning, and I'd said the heavens opened, and suddenly it all bust in, didn't it? After about 45 minutes.
And I'm sure our listeners could hear the rain there on the umbrella. And that's a couple of times we've been there out to Crossfield, and that umbrella has saved us, hasn't it?
It certainly has, yeah. It's a smashing purchase, that was.
Yeah. But the other thing as well, and I think we were talking to some of the Crossfield supporters that pitch is absolutely immaculate, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
Really, really
the
nice.
drainage on it. And when you consider the amount of rugby league that gets played on it, because I mean, when we arrived, there'd been a morning of girls rugby league that had just finished as well, hadn't there? Yeah. But yeah, tremendous. And I know that they're hoping to raise money to get the other pitches done with the drainage. To improve it even further. It's a fantastic venue, isn't it, Crossfields?
And the irony of that game, obviously we were there, we saw the game, and the first half was pretty even. I think it was 6-0 at half time to Oulton Raiders. Probably, slightly shaded in the first half, if anything, nothing out of the ordinary, but the second half they came out, and obviously the heavens had started to open, and whether they'd specifically changed their game plan because of the weather, I don't know, but they went a bit more forward and a bit more direct with, so the props, and it paved so many dividends, and the tackling was absolutely, sort of on point, and it just pinned Crossfield back.
Yeah, it was basically. It wasn't until the 68th minute when Crossfield scored their first try, and to be honest, between half time and like minute number 67, they were dominant, weren't they, Oulton? In like you said, with the territory, with the kicking, with the way that they dominated the middle.
Moving on though, I mean, they've got to be careful, because same as you was just saying there, it looked at a point then as though had they put the cue on the rack, I don't know. But certainly Crossfields took advantage of it. And at the end of the day, when you look at the scores and who scored and what the scoring was, I mean, they both scored 3 tries each. It was only the goal kicking that separated them. So, another 5 minutes, maybe a couple of successful goals from Crossfield's side point of view could have given them that extra momentum.
I suppose the two penalty goals were crucial. That Walpole added, in addition to the 3 that he kicked as conversions as well. Really enjoyable game. I was impressed by Tom Ashurst for his never say die efforts to get on the end of plays. The try that he scored, where it had been kicked over the top by Stanway, and Luke Walker had charged through, and I still don't know how he got that pass away. I mean, it looked like the defence was coming in. There was 2 defenders coming at him at an angle, and you're thinking he's going to get banged into touch here.
I thought exactly the same. Yeah,
but yet somehow he does get banged, and he gets hit to the floor. And he goes near the touchline, but he's released the pass, and Ashurst, he's like streaming away into the corner. Fantastic, and then a really delicate kick from Walker as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was the fullback, wasn't he? As far as Crosfields.
Got to say, Stanway and Walker linked up so many times, and you could see Stanway, sort of looking over to him, especially when they had scrums.
Yeah.
He always a sort of like a quiet word to him, or a gesture to him, so you knew something was going to be put on. And both very, very dangerous players. And for all Crosfield got beat, I mean, at the end of the day, they will look at, Oulton really were, sort of the ones who control that in that 20 minutes, 25 minutes just after half time, and that. At the end of the day, it's just what kept them out.
I mean, I don't know. I think that it was the right result. They controlled enough of the game for me at Oulton Raiders, and you can obviously see they're a well-drilled side. They enjoy each other's company, and in fact, we're now going to have after the game, I spoke to Adrian Holdsworth, and I asked him what he thought.
Okay, I'm joined by Adrian Holdsworth, top try scorer in Division 1 of the National Conference League. We're just in the aftermath of what I thought was a really good game, actually, over here against Crosfields. You ended up winning by 22 points to 14. How did you see it?
Well, as home form, to be honest, has been pretty good all season. I think we've only dropped points against Lee Minor Rangers, which actually I think that was like 3 tries apiece. We just got beat on goal kicks. Then we dropped points actually against Crosfields, who we've just played today. We drew with those at home. But we've been blowing hot and cold this year, and sort of a big thing that we've been talking about is being able to kind of come away from home and get a result. And for the last kind of couple of weeks, we've talked about mentality, and I think we actually turned up a bit late today, but we turned up with the right mentality, and we got out to a 20-0 lead, and then just in the last 10 minutes, we guilty, I think, of switching off a little bit, and we kind of let Crosfields back in, and they scored, I think it was 2 or maybe 3 quick tries in succession, and then it was kind of a bit like, right, now we need to kind of reset, get back to that sort of mentality shift, get the ball kind of kicked long, and luckily sort of, we finished the last couple of minutes of the game, close to their goal line. But yeah, really pleased we're coming away and getting 2 points, because that's been our Achilles heel, not just this year but last year as well. So yeah, enjoyed it.
I was going to say as well, because I think you were being a little bit harsh on your side there, to be honest, because I thought that you did dominate for about 60 minutes in that, in fairness, and there was no doubt at all when you're 20-0 up that you was much the best side. But I also thought as well, you adapted your game better to the conditions. When the rain came down, I can't believe that we've got blue skies overhead after what we've seen in that game. You adapted your game well to that. You brought it right back to basics again.
Yeah, to be honest, it was surprising that, because I think our team, we probably would consider ourselves playing sort of stronger in the dry weather, because we do like to play football, we do like to throw it around, we do like to test teams. It's a nice wide field here at Crosfields, so I think we were thinking, this is sort of the day where we could put sort of a bit of a marker down. But to be honest, when the rain did come, actually that probably was our best spell of the game. We controlled the ball really well, sort of completed our sets, kept it away from our goal line, and I think that sort of they probably coughed up sort of a few more errors. If I think back to sort of first game of the season, the weather was absolutely sort of torrential, and we went to Woolston, which I don't think is far from here. We went there, and it was a mud bath and an old-fashioned, slog fest, and we just sort of, that wasn't sort of our strength. But to be fair, the pitch here at Crosfields, it obviously very well looked after, very good underfoot, and we controlled that part of the game really well, and I think that sort of set us on course for the win today.
Do you think this sets you up for the second half of the season, or am I reading too much into it?
We've talked about this, about trying to get a bit of momentum, because we've had flashes where we think, right, it's happening now, and then something will happen like the week after and we'll get beat again, and we just can't seem to get that consistency and get that roll on. But I think hopefully, kind of like today, I think this is like two wins or maybe 3 wins on the spin now for us, and hopefully we can kind of use today as a bit of a stepping stone to try and push on. I know last season it was a bit of a bridge too far for us. We got to the playoff final for Division 1, and we were well beaten by Heworth that day. It was just one game sort of too many, and we're just hoping now, second half of the season, we can use the momentum, hopefully get into those playoffs. And with the squad that we've got, the ambition is to get up and get into the Premier.
I mean, there's a real mix amongst your squad as well, isn't it? So you've got the likes of Lowry out top wing, who looks like a young slip of a thing, and then you've got guys that they've been around Oulton, they know what it's about, they're very experienced. Then you've got jack in the box type players like Hal Day, who just keeps on going, and yourself keep on adding those tries as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've got a mix. It's weird. I'm the veteran of the team, if you like. Now I'll be 36 sort of later this month, but it's gone so fast. I know it's cliche, but it doesn't seem 2 minutes ago, that I was like, Kieran Lowry's age and coming into the team. I know we were talking, 2 minutes ago about, some of the games we used to play. Sort of, I remember Lee East being sort of a top side when I sort of first come into the open age, and that was like 18 years ago now, which feels kind of weird to say that out loud. But we've got a good core of lads that are in what you think is sort of their prime. Matty Stableford playing really well, who's been rightly so selected for England to go away to Australia at the end of the season. Like you say, Hal Day's playing really well. It's a team game, but there's a couple of other guys out there. Harry Kendall, who plays in the left centre, he went really well. Takes the ball at a yardage superbly, and we've got Jordan Blagg, who came with some really big shots. He's still a really young player, and I'd kind of hope that I think he could probably do something, maybe in the semi-pro game, or hopefully kind of get representative honours at an amateur level, because he's going really well for us this season.
And speaking about like Keane Watson as well, because he had to fill 2 positions today, didn't he, due to the injury that came to your starting hooker.
Yeah, Keane's been really good this year. So Keane's on a dual registration from Midlands Hurricanes. So,
okay.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, so he'll train with them, maybe sometimes play with them, but then he's down here as well. And Keane's been really good. To be honest, we've been quite sort of settled in the halfbacks this year, which has made a big difference, because they're the key positions, right? If you start sort of rotating them round, everybody's got to sort of time their runs. Today, Kieran Walpole, who usually plays fullback with us, he came into the halves, so it was a little bit, I won't say disjointed, but we've played with Kieran Walpole for a long time, so we're used to it. But it sort of wasn't the usual sort of half-back pairing that we've had sort of for the last few weeks. But to be fair, they both played really well today, and got the result.
I mean, I always loved this division. So Division 1 is always the division that I look out for, because this is where you get the real churn, don't you? So you get the teams that get relegated from the Premier Division, who are used to playing at that, more intense standard week in, week out. You get the teams that are after proving something because they got promoted from the division below, and then invariably everybody's still pushing and trying to push for the top, aren't they?
Yeah, we know it's a really tough division to get out of. We've been in this division for, I think it's probably 5 years now, and it's probably been about sort of 7 or 8 since we've been in the Premier. And the goal of this club is, we think, to get it back to where it belongs, which is in that Premier Division and trying to compete in the Premier Division. I know when I sort of first started, the club had come off the back of sort of winning the grand final in 2006, and the ambition really, we are ambitious, and that's where we want to be. But you're absolutely right, Division 1 is really sort of tough place. You look at the results, and I don't think there'll be sort of many blowouts. Everything's quite close. I mean, even today, we were kind of sort of thinking, well, yeah, we might sort of get on a roll, and it could have been sort of a blowout. But then Crosfields came back into it, and it was really close, like at the end. So there are, some superb games, and if people want to come down and watch amateur rugby league, look for any sort of the clubs in Division 1, and there'll be some great entertainment for you.
I'm glad you've said that when we're stood here in Warrington, because I think about half of the clubs are on this side of the Pennines in this division this time round.
That's absolutely right. Yeah. So I've actually driven over today. I'm driving back soon. I've got two young kids now, so can't do as many of the sort of beers on the bus journey on the way back, and then more beers in the clubhouse. So I'm going to be sensible, and I'm going to drive over this time. But you're right, there is a lot of sides sort of over here. I think there's Woolston, Clockface can't be far from here as well. But a lot of the bus journeys, and I'm sure the lads will be enjoying the bus journey on the way back, and then in the club, and then wherever the sort of the night takes them.
Adrian, thank you so much. I'll go and let you enjoy your win with a non-alcoholic beverage.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you very much. All right, cheers.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.
What a great bloke.
Just going to say, what an interview that was. Really, really knowledgeable and
really enjoyed.
Yeah,
really enjoyed having that chat with him. In fact, we were talking for about 10 minutes off the mic as well afterwards. Because I said to him, so he said, you're 36. I said, I'd have put you in the same age group, wouldn't it, as Ryan Hall?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. He said, we did all of our junior career together.
Wow.
I know, how good's that?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And we've got to mention, Ryan Hall is an ex-Oulton Raiders player, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is, so he's one of the great alumni, isn't he? That I'm sure they can't wait to welcome him back to the club at every opportunity, to be honest.
Get him back on dual reg next season.
What a career that he's had, to be honest.
Yeah.
To be fair to him, and I'm sure, like a lot of people, he'll be very keen to see how Oulton Raiders progresses.
Yeah.
I think they're on an upward trajectory, but like with a lot of clubs, you've got to get your consistency right, haven't you? And it's usually, if you can get some level of consistency in any of these divisions, you're going to do well, aren't you?
Yeah. To be honest, listen to what he was saying there and what I said with regards to them, did they change their game plan when the rain came? Obviously, like he said, that happened by...
It was almost by default, wasn't it? They understood kind of like where they were up to in the game.
Yeah.
And they knew that if they had it and played it tight, they got more chance.
And obviously getting that under your belt and actually getting a result like that once you have done that just shows that, if you've got that in your locker for further down the season, you've got a plan B, haven't you? If the game's not going your way, to knuckle down to basics and go through things. But yeah, it was a great game. I just felt watching the game as a whole that I agree with it. Oulton were the best side, but they've got to be mindful now moving forward. Not to put the cue on the rack too early, because somebody in a bit more sort of in a better position than what Crosfields were could punish them a little bit earlier, and it'd be telling.
And there's enough there in Crosfields. We know what a decent side they can be, and I guess we could be having the same conversation about them, about finding that little bit of a level of consistency, because I'm just looking at the like how these two sides line up against each other now. So you've got them both with 12 games under the belt, 6 wins, a draw and 5 losses. So again, it's kind of up and down, up and down, isn't it? As far as Crosfields is concerned.
But saying that, they're both in the mix, aren't they? That's the thing.
They are both in the mix, and long may that continue. Yeah. And as I said, I love this Division 1, mate. I think it's a superb division. Right, what happened elsewhere? Well, in the Premier Division, it was Kells 12, Heworth 34. That's a turn up for the books, that, because Kells usually very strong at home, and Heworth coming up with a fantastic result there. So Axe scoring twice, Allen scoring 2 tries, Burton and Elliott the other scorers for Heworth. Goal split between Sadler, who kicked 2, and Coggle, who kicked 3.
Yeah, got a little bit of a report on this one, Parker.
Okay.
Sin binning for Ross Gainford on 55 minutes proved pivotal in Kells' 34 points to 12 home defeats to Ewith, as the York visitors scored 12 unanswered points during his absence to move into a 28 points to 12 lead. Kells are currently operating with a taxing injury list with up to 7 key players out, and that meant that they are now just 2 points clear of the drop zone. Coach Peter Smith said the game changed in the 55th minute after we had got back to 12 all. They were attacking our line when their man was about to put the ball down when it was kicked out of his hands. The referee said he had scored and Ross was sent off for that challenge and allegedly said something to the referee which really completely deflated us. Harry Watson and Nathan Clark had scored the tries, both converted by Gainford, which had got Kells back to 12 all.
But still a notable victory that from Ewith, I feel. Rochdale Mayfield were amongst the points yet again. They hosted Loch Lane and defeated them by 52 points to 6. Dakota Tolhurst with 2 tries, Newsham with a hat-trick of tries. Harry Sheridan's back there.
Well, yeah.
So Sheridan had gone over to Wakefield at the start of the season, hadn't he? You know, I remember speaking to him after one of their pre-season friendlies, but he's back plying his trade at Rochdale Mayfield. Goal split between Parr, who added 1, Devlin Long kicked 5. For Loch Lane, Sowerby was the sole try scorer, Butler the goal kicker. It was 18-6 at half time, and Rochdale Mayfield really getting away from the visitors in the second half. There was a humdinger of a game over at Thatto Heath Crusaders, and it took a really good second half from Hunslet to take the points home. So it had been locked at 16 points all. Crusaders had scored tries through Lee, Tracy and Phillips. Phillips adding 2 goals. Hunslet had responded, Cohen scoring 2 tries, and in the end it was Hullock who ended up going over, Dearden and Craig McShane. Jordan Gale kicking 4 goals and a drop goal crucially in that one. And there was a turn up for the Bucks at Wathbrow, wasn't there, Steve?
There certainly was. Wathbrow produced the best performance of the season to beat the National Conference Premier Division leaders Siddle. It's been an uncharacteristic faltering start for the Hornets this season, with as many defeats as victories, but this was an indication of what they are capable of. In wet testing conditions, Hornets rose to the occasion, making ample amends for last week's defeat at the bottom side Loch Lane, and they were deserving winners. Siddle had arrived in West Cumbria on the back of 9 straight wins, which had propelled them to the top of the table, but they found that Brow in determined and ultra-committed mood. It was a real arm wrestle to start with, and it wasn't until the 30th minute that the Hornets went in front with a penalty from Cole Walker-Taylor. But before the break, Lewis Hosty levelled for the visitors. Some outstanding defence from both sides meant there was no further scope until the 70th minute when Walker-Taylor edged the Brow in front again with his second penalty. 4 minutes later, Callum Farrer found a gap to go in for the crucial Hornets try, which Walker-Taylor goaled. At 10 points to 2, they were almost there. Hosty did cross for an unconverted try at the death, but Wathbrow were through to a thoroughly deserving victory. So yeah, an absolutely great result there for Wathbrow, because like they said, week before they were getting beat by Loch Lane.
Yeah, it's been a bit mixed, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think we mentioned it
there as well. To be fair,
yeah.
I know we've mentioned it for the likes of Oulton and the likes of Crosfields in Division 1. You can say that Wathbrow are having one of their sort of seasons, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the Premier Division, West Hull are the new leaders. That's courtesy of a 42-20 win against Egremont. The Green and Golds, they'd edged the issue in Cumbria by just 10 points to 6, and they were never behind. But yet they were only 6 points to 4 ahead as the half hour approached. Nathan Preston having responded to Ryan Wilson's early try and goal. But quick-fire touchdowns for Elliot Jones, Ben Arben and Josh Wood, each of which Wilson converted, earned West a 20-point lead. Paul Corkill replied for the Rangers, Matt Busher improving, but the Green and Golds went in at the break 30-10 ahead thanks to Wood's second score. West Hull had the points in the bag by the hour. Mason Palmer and Bobby Tyson Wilson crossing, and Wilson enjoyed a 7 from 7 return with the boot. Egremont then enjoyed a strong finish with unanswered tries by Fraser, McNee and Jordan Baird, the second of which Beech gold, but there was no denying the superiority of West Hull, despite Ryan Steen being sin-binned for a swinging arm 8 minutes from time. So massive result that for West Hull, well done to them. And there was a win at home on Friday evening for York Acorn. They defeated West Bowling by 24 points to 18. So
is it a derby game, or is it?
No, it's like York. It's York and Bradford. That.
Right, yeah.
West Bowling's Bradford. But I like Friday night games.
Yeah, well, we say it all the time, don't we? And those two, if I'm not wrong, I think they played their other game, which was rearranged because of the
Challenge Cup.
Challenge Cup run, wasn't it? I think that was
definitely.
a Friday night as well.
Definitely. And to be honest, the last time those two sides met, there was a surprise 28-22 result for West Bowling. So York Acorn got their own back this time round. Now it was 18-0 to York Acorn at half time, so I think they were quite pleased by full time to hear the final whistle. It was one-way traffic in the opening period, Luke Swales crossing in the 4th minute and Jack Byrne dotting down at the midway point. Ant Chilton, who improved both scores, added a penalty goal as the interval beckoned, and Ben Teng forced his way over in the corner in the closing seconds to put Acorn firmly in control, or so it seemed. West had to wait until the 57th minute before opening their account through Elliot Cousins, with Harry Williams, who's back from Hunslet, adding the extras. Ant Chilton landed a penalty goal in response before Williams improved an Aidan Scully effort to peg the host back to 8 points. Matt Chilton then crossed for Acorn with 6 minutes left to effectively seal victory, but Bowling had the last word when Logan Simpson touched down in the closing seconds and Williams booted his 3rd goal. So that's, sounds like a cracking game, that, to be honest, doesn't it? Elsewhere in Division 1, Waterhead, they're on a run as well at the moment. It's ominous, the sort of run that they're going on. They're starting to score points and get used to their position, I feel. So they defeated Clockface Miners 46 points to 4. The lone try for the Miners came courtesy of Lewis. Warriors responding with Hamilton grabbing a try, Lynch scoring 2, Brennan scoring a try and kicking 7 goals. Holland continuing these excellent try scoring this season with 2. Cameron and Joy also going in for scores. Hull Dockers, they had a noteworthy win at home against Woolston Rovers. Cook, Sotheby and Bade were the try scorers. Agar kicked 3 goals, Cook with an all-important drop goal. For Woolston Rovers, Fernley and Moore scored the tries. Lawton kicked 2 goals. And Ince Bridge, they had an impressive low-scoring victory against Stanningley, beating them by 10 points to 8. There were 2 tries from Winger Hughes, 1 goal from Pete Valentine, and for Stanningley, unconverted tries from Townend and Sykes, but it wasn't quite enough. It was a different story over at Wigan St Pat's, so if points were hard to come by at Ince Bridge, well, Wigan St Pat's just couldn't stop scoring them. Riding grabbed 2 tries, Connor Taylor scored 4, Highland scored 2, Penny, Sproat, Jones and Hyam also scored tries, with Highland and Zammert kicking goals, Brad Smith adding 5. This was as St Pat's amassed 62 points to defeat Skirler 62-6. For Skirler, it was Oliver who scored their lone try, with C. Oliver converting. It was 38-0 at half time though, so the result was virtually in the bag. Division 2, much closer game between Barrow Island and Ellenborough Rangers. And tell us about it, Steve.
Yeah, the Cumberland Derby in League 2, it went the way of Ellenborough Rangers as they won a tight game against Barrow Island 26 points to 24. It was the Islanders' 6th successive defeat and leaves them dangerously placed next to the bottom of the table. Ellenborough had started well and went into a 12 points in a lead inside 6 minutes with tries from Jordan Austell and John Todd, both converted by Sean Momberson. But the Islanders were level by the break with tries from Will Scott on the 15th and Carl McBain on 38 minutes, both converted by Sam Jones. Ellenborough was soon back in front on 45 minutes with an unconverted try by Rocco Ocassini. But the home side went in front for the first time 5 minutes later with a try from Det Baines, which Jones again converted. Elborough fought back to take the lead from 26 points to 18 with tries from Todd on the 63rd minute and Brett Stevenson on 70th minute, one of which was converted by Mumberson. Although the Islanders scored a late try from Brad Warren 3 minutes from the end, converted by Jones, the visitors held on for a narrow victory. Ellenborough coach Paul Gorge said, "I was really pleased because the back-to-back wins, we were looking to keep up that winning run going next week to Pilks Rex." So, big win there.
Elsewhere, Dewsbury Celtic, they had a fine home win against Millom by 28 points to 6. Millom, they're certainly making things difficult for teams at the moment. I don't know whether you've got any report on that, by the way.
Just a short one. It said the Millom were beaten 28 points to 6 at Dewsbury Celtic after a disappointing second half performance. They've been very much in the contest, only 8-0 down at half time. 5 minutes into the second half, that lead had grown to 18-0. And although Connor Terrell scored a try for Mirrell, converted by Lee Postlethwaite, the hosts were still able to add 2 more tries for a comfortable win.
Yeah, so ultimately tries from Teal, Paul Fulston, Waring, Cummins, Yarrow and Bottomley downed Millom, with the goal split between Cummins and Paul Fulston, who added 1 each. Normanton Knights had a massive victory against Myton Warriors, so they were leading 34-10 at half time, eventually beating Myton 60 points to 16. Myton Warriors scored tries through Ward, Hobman and Sanderson, who also added 2 goals, but ultimately it was the Knights who were running hot. They had a hat-trick from Robinson, 2 tries each from Poppleton and Joe Crossland. Jacob Crossland got on the scoring charts with 2 tries of his own. Rowley and Slater, the other scorers. Jake Crossland, he ended up with 8 goals to his name, so it was a really profitable afternoon, that one, for Normanton Knights, who with that result, they're 4th in the division. Again, there was a victory for Oldham St Anne's, who are quietly going about their business. Their 9th win of the season. It was a hard-fought affair against Thornhill Trojans. They defeated them by 16 points to 0. This was after leading 10 points to 0 at half-time. Zaffino, Saunders and Chatterton, the try-scorers for St Anne's. Pogson adding 2 goals. And Shawcross Sharks, they were away at Saddleworth Rangers. These are 2 sides that I always look out for the results from. Because I think I'm unofficially banned from Shawcross still after nearly every time I've seen them over the last couple of years. I've not seen them win. And B, we went there, didn't we, last season? It was one of the first games that we did as part of our coverage that we were trialling at the time. So, Saddleworth really hosted us well, didn't they?
Yeah, lovely ground, lovely night, wasn't it?
Oh, it was.
Oh, beautiful.
Much like tonight, to be honest.
Yeah.
Much like tonight. So on that one finished Shawcross Sharks 28, Saddleworth Rangers 6. Rangers scoring through Gosling Merrington, the goal courtesy of Whitehead. And the Sharks putting tries on through Stevenson, Smith with 2, Jordan and Wakenshaw also going over, with Tomlinson adding 4 goals. Who else would be kicking goals for Shawcross Sharks? And then Wigan St Jude's and Pilkington Rex. It was 14 points to 6, this one, to Wigan St Jude's after 39 minutes before the game was abandoned due to an injury. And this came for young Pilks Rex hooker Scott Simmons, who's in the Community Lions squad. So they were really worried that he might have done a really serious neck injury. And they were waiting 2 hours for an ambulance. So when he eventually got to hospital, thankfully, after looking at the injury, it's just tendon damage, and there's no bones, there's no vertebrae, there's no issue with that. So I think despite Scott being shook up, he was released later in the evening, thankfully, and will be able to continue his rugby career. But I think he gave a few people a bit of a scare there, and I'm really glad, because he's, the family's a fantastic family. Obviously I know his dad through the coaching of the England Community Lions under 17s. And Scott is turning into a cracking little player. We've seen him already this season, haven't we, as part of our coverage.
That's right,
He's a lively character. He's a real cracking I was worried when I saw the match report that had come through for this.
Yeah.
That I sent a message, over, and I just said that I'm thinking of you, and then obviously they replied, back, which was I was made up when I got the news that he'd come out.
Well, you don't want anybody getting
no, you don't.
Any sort of injuries like that, do you? At the end of the day, and I think we've mentioned it before, is unfortunately, we don't have the facilities that professional sport has, and you have to wait for an ambulance for that long, but that's what you've got to do at the end of the day, and you've got to keep them wrapped up and warm, and there's no way you can attempt to move them. In fact, ironically, myself and Graham Cunliffe, who is with us on one of the other podcasts, when we started watching the women's game, we watched the Saints play, I think it might have been their first game as Saints women at Pilks a couple of years ago, and a similar thing happened to Pip Birchall.
Okay.
And exactly the same thing happened. They wrapped her up, kept her warm on the pitch, covered her up, because they knew the ambulance was going to take a while. The game got abandoned, exactly the same. And as much as it's, you want to see a game finished, but the first priority is people's health.
It's definitely got to be. It's definitely got to be. So that will be a game that will get replayed a little bit later in the season when I'm sure they find some time in the busy calendars. That was that game. And then Division 3, the results there were Dissington 28, Driglington 22. You've got a little report from this thing.
Dissington leaders. Dissington saw off a determined challenge of third place Driglington to win 28 points to 22. While Enzingham, who remain a point behind their Cumbrian rivals, were too good for Beverley as they won their home game 36-12. Dissington were always the dominant side, never being behind, but Driglington had drawn level at 10 points all shortly afterwards, shortly before half-time. The West Cumbrians, who had led 16 points to 10 at half-time, finished with 6 tries, 2 of which were converted by Scott George. Going over the Driglington line were Scott Rock, who got 2, Jamie Friel, Steve Clark, Callum Fox and George. Coach Aidan Worthington said it was a good win against the team third in the league, and I thought we were very deserving winners. They scored a late try which made the score look a little bit closer than it actually was. From our point of view, it was a good solid performance against a good team, and we played some good rugby.
Yeah, Driglington's scores came courtesy of Thornton, Hallis, Blake and Richardson, with Sanderson adding 3 goals there. Elsewhere, there was a Leeds derby as East Leeds hosted Milford, and East Leeds won that one by 28 points to 0. It was just 6-0 at half-time, by the way, Steve. Walking Camano, great to see him back at East Leeds, by the way. He'd actually gone over to Featherstone at the start of the season after impressing with the Community Lions at the end of last year.
Yeah.
But nice to see him return to his community roots. Hartley also scored a try. And there were 2 for ex-Super League centre Tom Minns. Littlewood added 4 goals. 28-0 it finished to East Leeds over Milford. And Lee East had an altogether more difficult encounter at Featherstone Lions. So if you remember, right at the start of the season, Lee East put one of the biggest scores that they've had in years on Featherstone Lions. They won 72 points to 0. They did win over at the Mill Pond, but it was 34-26. They're getting closer.
That's a bit closer, isn't it? Yeah.
They're starting to get closer. It's took them a good half season, I think, to find the competitiveness and to build towards it. But I think they're getting closer, Featherstone Lions, and I don't think that first win is too far away from them. So the Lions scored tries through Beresford, Bell, Smith, Berris and Mountain, Sales adding 3 goals. Meanwhile for Lee East there were tries from Hughes, Prescott, not the one that we think, Mercer and Connor Graney scored 2 tries, but the real score which separated them was by Bernard Abogai, who went over. Graney also, he's revealed another string to his bow, by the way.
Go on.
he kicked 5 goals.
Really?
So goal kicking prop forward now.
Yeah.
Is there anything he can't do? As Lee East eventually won by 34 points to 26. And Steve, just the one remaining game to tell you about that happened this weekend in the National Conference League. That was Hensingham 36, Beverley 12.
Yeah, Hensingham, they got off to a flyer against Beverley with 2 tries in the first 6 minutes from Matthew Williams and Josh Rogerson. But momentum seemed to have slowed as they only led 8-2 at the break. However, they powered clear in the second half when there were tries for Jay Weatherall, Callum Morgan, Jack Kellett, Reuben Butterworth and Gareth Gates. Weatherall kicked 4 goals. Coach Chris Coward said, "I'm absolutely buzzing with the results and the performance because we had players missing and I had to bring in 3 under-16s and 2 veterans and they were magnificent. I thought we bossed the game and really do feel we were making ourselves hard to play against. Played some good rugby, scored nice tries and defensively we really only conceded 1 soft try." So yeah, good win there for Hensingham.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of video footage from this game as well. I've got to thank as well Jack Kellett's dad. You know, he's a bit of a friend after Jack's time with the England Community Lions over a few the last sort of 2, 3, 4 years. And he sent me a couple of clips of tries being scored. So there was one where they'd rolled a kick into the in-goal area and Jay Weatherall dashes after it. He's like a bullet from a gun.
Yeah, we know that.
He's rapid chasing this kick. Does really well to get on the end of it. And then there was a smashing tackle that Jack Kellett put in. We know that he's pretty big for a halfback, isn't he? And he absolutely smashed the opposite front rower. Yeah, who's running it out. Looking, he's picked him out. I
love you.
And he's just gone whoomp, and it's such a good tackle because the ball just pops out.
Yeah.
He's just hit it right, really good. So I really appreciated that little bit of video footage that I got sent. And I've got to say thank you as well to Waterhead, who also sent me, the video. So I did have a little bit of a cheeky watch of that as well. And
got to say congratulations to Hensingham as well, managing to get celebrity Gareth Gates on the score sheet.
See, not only was he having top 10 hits, he's scoring tries.
For fun.
When you mentioned that, I thought Steele will have something up his sleeve for this one. He'll have something, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to steal his thunder.
You're not going to bite. Yeah.
I'm not going to bite. So, what does that mean to the leagues? Well, we've already mentioned that in the Premier Division, West Hull are top. They're clear of Siddle, who have 18 points. Rochdale Mayfield, who have 18 points. Hunslet in 4th with 16 points. And then there's a real log jam of teams. So you've got York Acorn, who are 5th with 12 points, Wathbrow 6th with 12 points, Heworth with 10 points, Egremont Rangers with 10 points, Kells with 10 points, Thatto Heath with 8 points, and then the bottom 2 are West Bowling and Lock Lane. Division 1 currently sees Waterhead Warriors out on top, 373 points they've scored over the first 11 games of the season. They are comfortably the top point scorers within that division. And Lee Miners Rangers just tucked in behind them. Same points, just a different point difference. They're giving away over 100 points different. Then you've got Wigan St Pat's in 3rd with 14 points. Dewsbury Moor Maroons in 4th with 14 points. Oulton Raiders 5th, 13 points. Crosfields 6th with 13 points. Ince Rose Bridge tucked in just beneath them with 12, and then you've got Stanley with 8, Woolston Rovers 6, Hull Dockers starting to really put a couple of good performances together over recent times. They've now gone ahead of Clockface and Skirler, who prop up the division. In Division 2 you've got Shawcross Sharks out on top now, just the one defeat, and strangely enough, who was there? 11 wins from 12 games, 432 points scored, just 182 conceded. Oldham St Anne's are 2nd with 9 wins from their 12 games. Wigan St Jude's 9 wins, 2 losses from their 11 in 3rd. Normanton Knights going, through their business very, very gradually. They've got 15 league points, courtesy of 7 wins and a draw. Similar record for Dewsbury Celtic. Ellenborough Rangers tucked in just beneath them with 13. And then you've got, again, a log jam of teams. Millen with 10 points. Thornhill Trojans with 8. Saddleworth Rangers with 6. Pilkington Rex with 6. Barrow Island with 6. And then... who's propping up that league? The Mighton Warriors propping up the league. You know, this is what you would get when you read the League Express online, and you've got the box page whatever of whatever, and it had covered the bottom team up. And then Division 3, you've got Dissington out on top. I don't know what's more impressive, the fact they've only dropped 3 points all the way through, or the fact they've only conceded 138 points in 10 games. I mean, that's brilliant, that, isn't it? East Leeds have a similar sort of record. They've conceded just 127 points, but they're back in 4th spot. Hensingham 2nd, Driglington 3rd, East Leeds 4th, Lee East 5th, Beverley in 6th position, with Bentley, Milford, Seaton Rangers and Featherstone Lions making up the rest of the division. Right, time to look ahead to our fixtures this coming weekend, and we're delighted to inform you that we'll be out on the road again. Yes, we are taking our Mixlr coverage out to Thatto Heath Crusaders up against York Acorn. So if you can't make going to that game, or you're wanting a bit of extra community rugby league coverage to brighten your Saturday afternoon, then we will certainly be there. Find the link over on our Twitter page. What I'll do is I'll try and get it retweeted and stuff so people can pick it up.
Yeah, we also know our Facebook page as well.
And it'll also be on Facebook, which Steve looks after. So yeah, really looking forward to that, by the way.
And obviously, if you're going away on holiday, because I know a lot of the lads this time of year, they're going out onto the jolly holidays and want to listen to how the lads are going on. Or if you just, and I know it's a trek, getting across the M62 over to this side and vice versa. As we found out last week when we were covering the Crosfields game, I know there was an accident, so that's a little bit late. So if you can't travel over and you want to listen to York Acorn against Thatto Heath Crusaders, join us. I think we're starting a little bit earlier, aren't we? Going to try and start a little bit earlier.
We are. We're looking at starting about 2:15ish, I think, this time round. You know, because we're hoping to have a guest or two.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see what we can do, but otherwise, you know, we'll have the usual build-up.
The other thing is as well, obviously we were down at Thatto Heath Crusaders at the beginning of the season, and they hosted the podcast, so it's great to get down there and finally managed to cover one of their games. And we went over to York Acorn, and they were so obliging and really helpful. Great game, great match.
My hip's not been the same since.
Parky gets a nosebleed when he sits on a high chair now.
I'm worried. I'm worried on this one, Steve. To be honest,
strapped in the baby seat like on this chair at the side of me.
Right,
but it was a great day.
It was,
and the hospitality was fantastic as well.
And we can't wait to get over to Thatto at the weekend to see those two sides come up against each other. Elsewhere in the Premier Division, you've got Heworth hosting Loch Lane. Rochdale Mayfield are over the hill at Siddle. I mean, that'll
be a big one.
That's like the talking point tie of the round, isn't it? Wharfborough Hornets, this is another one. They're at home to Hunslet. And you've got West Bowling hosting West Hull. In Division 1, Clockface Miners are at home to Leet Miners Rangers. You've got Dewsbury Moor Maroons hosting Skirler. Ince Rose Bridge at home against Hull Dockers. Woolston Rovers away at Oulton Raiders. I wonder how they'll go on this week, Oulton. Stanningley host Wigan St Pat's. That's quite an attractive looking fixture. Waterhead Warriors, they're home against Crossfields. Ooh. Doesn't get any easier.
Does it? No.
Rob and his side, Crossfields, does it? In Division 2, Barrow Island host Dewsbury Celtic. Thornhill Trojans go over to Mighton Warriors. Ellenborough have a road trip down to Pilkington Rex. Saddleworth Rangers, meanwhile, host Normanton Knights. That looks like it could be a standout. Shawcross Sharks at home to Millham, and this looks like it'll be a good game as well. Wigan St Jude's hosting Oldham St Anne's. And Division 3, Beverley host Driglington. Featherstone Lions are away at East Leeds. Lee Easter at home to Seaton Rangers. And Milford, they host Bentley. It's going to be another fantastic weekend of National Conference League action.
There's some absolute crackers in there, Parky. I must admit, we had obviously penciled a game in early doors for this weekend. But when I looked at the fixtures this weekend, there are a couple that obviously the Jude's game, and it was one of those between that and obviously the Thatterweath game, because even though Thatterweath are sort of struggling a little bit at the moment, I think they'll be a bit buoyed with that result against Hunslet, even though they got beat. I think it would just show that there's a bit of metal there.
Very competitive, weren't they?
Yeah. And York, as we know, after the run in the Challenge Cup, been on the wobbly side, although they're in probably a stronger position. So it should be a good game.
You know what? Can't wait for it, Steve. I hope that you can join us as well. So as I said, we're over on our Mixlr channel, which we will put links on our Facebook page and also our Twitter page. Thanks again for joining us. Thanks again for hosting us, Steve.
Our pleasure as always, Parky.
We'll hopefully keep this weather ticking forward to the weekend. There we are, Eddie, I've mentioned it. Right, we're off out of here. Enjoy what you're doing, and if you go to a game at the weekend and you want to tell us about it, well, you can drop me a message at Dave Parkinson RL or at Steve_Beech RL. I'm determined I'm going to get you a message between now and the end of the season, Steve. See ya.
Every tackle, every try, every scrum. Green Cooling is proud to be part of the Community Rugby League family.